Good evening and welcome to this edition of the Island Stats Football Show. I'm your host, Earl Baston. Joining me, co-host Garrett Punchy Dill and Coach Keita. First of all, this evening, we have quite a bit to discuss. We're going to start off with, obviously, the news that is running around the league in that Jay Bean has resigned as the head coach of the Dandytown Hornets after 6 games in the league. He won his first 4 matches, but then in their last 2 matches, they have unfortunately had defeats. But confirming the news was the president of the Western Star Sports Club, Dandytown Hornets, Mr. DeVar Boyles, who said it wasn't just what was happening on the field. There was some other things that was going on behind the scene that need to be addressed, and they were going to have a meeting with the head coach, but he kind of resigned from the position. But they are going to have a meeting with Mr. Bean to discuss other things because he has too much to offer the program, and they want to make sure that they offer him something in staying involved in the club itself. So just hearing that, Punchy, what's your initial thoughts?
Well, it came as a surprise to me so early, but I just felt the rumblings. I've heard, you can hear the talk, players talking even after the game. I remember one game after was Tomiko Goda, and I just watched he was, I was like, whoa, there's something up right here. And, but for it to happen so early, I mean, Jay's been there for a couple of years he's been assistant coach.
Yeah.
And so now he takes over the reins, and then things are not going how they should be. And I don't know what's happening off the field, because this is Bermuda, something else could be happening there. But in terms of what I thought he would bring, it's not showing up. It's not showing up, and that's partly due to the fact that what was set before him, there was a certain standard, and so his task it's not been very good results. Remember, they still got a very good team.
Yeah,
they got good players.
Yeah.
But who do you start pointing the finger at? And so it looks like the finger was pointed to him that it's not right, things not working out, and it's time for us to make a decision, a change.
Yeah. So Coach Keita, your good friend Aaron Dinkins is now back in the field with Dandytown. But just your thoughts on Jay resigning from the position.
Well, I kind of felt that they had a support system. If it wasn't working out for one coach, I didn't expect a resignation or a coach to be fired. It's difficult, when you have a head coach, and you have your support staff, and you have the final say yes. It'd be interesting to know what happened. Did the players turn on the coach? You know what I mean? Did he just not have the support that he needed? Was he not listening? Was he not taking advice? He won the first 4 games, lost 2 games, and now you got to go. So the next game is going to be the telling game, right? And that's when and then it depends on who they play, right? They come up against a Crossroads or a Robin Hood. You know what I mean? It's going to look like, oh yeah, definitely the coach. You know what I mean? They get a Cougars or St. George's or someone, North Village, and it doesn't look the same. So at the end of the day, players have got to play for the Bears. They got to play for what they wear on their chest. And the coach isn't always going to get it right. The coach isn't always going to make, we see it week in and week out, and I'm not comparing us to the EPL, but, even Cristiano Ronaldo will tell you that he can't stand the Portuguese coach, but at the end of the day, you know what I mean? You play for what you wear on your chest, and do they still have that great quality at any time? You know what I mean? You guys actually go on the field and say, you know what? I'm not going to play today. I'm going to play dumb today because I want to get the coach fired. So it's heartbreaking because I felt that they had a cool group of coaches, and I felt that maybe more support, or if support was offered and he wasn't listening. So either way, I don't know what went wrong or how it went wrong, but I would have hoped that they could have found a solution it's so much better when you dig deep, right, and you come out of this slump together, as opposed to kind of breaking apart. But
Yeah.
I wish them all the best.
Yeah, you make an interesting point that depending on who they play next, they actually play Somerset next. But if they win that, everybody would say, "Oh, it was the coach." But what happens if they lose it? What's the talk then? It's always that interesting thing. But we wish Jay and the club well. I mean, obviously, speaking with the president, he does want to make sure that they offer him something to keep him in the fold, and that's an important factor that you have these people that you've worked with over the years and they've worked with your team, and you don't want to just see that all go to the wayside. So, hopefully they get that sorted out rather quickly. Now, the other big talking point is 2 down, 1 to go. Robin Hood have forfeited now 2 matches. They only have 1 left. If they forfeit 1 more match, they could ultimately or would ultimately be out of the league. Coach Keith, I see you're chomping at the bit to have a say on this one, but we knew this at the beginning of the season. They were short on players, and they didn't face the reality that 6 games into the season, on your 7th game, you could be out.
Correct. And for one, I know they have. I mean, whether it's good or bad or right or wrong, have let the powers that be know that they can't field the team. And so, while a lot of people were getting at Maceo for what he said about the transfer being later, they can rectify this. It's sad. It's very sad that a team that not so long ago was dominating in the Premier League.
I think they won the league 2 years ago, didn't they?
Correct. To now saying we can't even field a team. It doesn't bode well for us, all right, as a country. And so, how can we? I'm hoping that they don't have to. November 11th has gone. I hope that they have players coming in that they can actually utilize, and so they don't have to forfeit that 3rd match. Because that would be horrible for our Premier League. It's our Premier League. It's not, and I'm not negating any other league on the island, but for our top league in this island to have a team have to drop out.
Withdraw, yeah.
It's very, very unfortunate and very sad. But again, these teams have got to be careful, because when they were picking up all those players, it was great, and you don't have a vision. Excuse me, you don't have a plan, and this is what you get when those players say, "Yeah, I'm out. I'm going back to my home team. I'm going wherever." You're left with the few that were committed to you, or those players that were committed before you picked up all those players who said, "Yeah, why you relying on them? I'm going." And now this is what you're left with. So, yeah, I hope November 11th. I hope late transfers comes to their rescue. I really do.
Well, we'll know. This is actually November 15th that the transfer, they can play after the 15th. So we'll know this coming weekend. They have
as long as they don't play.
What's that?
15th Tuesday. So as long as they don't play tomorrow, they're straight.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, it's an interesting matchup. Their next match, because they actually play Crossroads. They do play Crossroads. So who knows? But Punchy, we saw this some years ago when Vasco had won the league and then actually withdrew from the league because they didn't have enough players to come back the following year. So we see this scenario playing out. The problem is, this time around, Robin Hood have actually started the season. So the question has been asked, what happens if they were to forfeit the 3rd game and they're out of the league? What happens to those players who have already played thus far this season for Robin Hood?
Very good point. This is that's a very good question. Wow. I mean, this hasn't happened, what's happening in the country, in the league. Whoa, yeah, what's going to happen to them? Because I do believe that they are going to pro. I do believe that. I do believe. A good question. Has it been thought of? If this team doesn't, I don't think the association has been thought of. I would think that the players should be able to transfer to other teams. I would think, I would hope that they will be able to play again.
Yeah.
In terms of what's happening there about this, what's happening really with Robin Hood is a practice sample. Let's say if I've talked to some people about this. Let's say if that we went into semi-pro league or something, giving people perks for playing for your team or the recruitment.
Legally.
What would happen if they start recruiting players with, okay, listen, I could do this for you. You know what goes, what has happened before. Now what would happen to the other clubs if I start saying they start pulling players from, let's say Trey Mean, for instance. Trey Mean finishes Southampton Rangers. Now you're approached by Robin Hood and say, listen, again, or Vasco say, listen, we want to work, we're going to rebuild this program around you. This is what we'll do for you. Norfolk is not going to be able to do this for you. It's very interesting, what could happen. Or John T. Smith. So again, getting back to all these scenarios, what's happening. Yes, there's foundations that Norfolk have built. There's foundations that PAC have built, and Cougars and what's going on. What I am concerned about if that was to happen? How could you draw? What would your recruitment be like? And say, listen, we could do this for you. We could, stuff. We all know what we're talking about here. So that's something I thought about also. Again, looking at over the years, at the beginning of the season, the beginning of last season, most of the better the young players from Robin Hood are overseas, right? We heard about that. Non-rank players are those young players overseas. So, okay, what do you do now? And I think it's because of culture, what's happening in the country. Young players are going out, better education, better opportunities overseas. So those type of clubs are going to have a problem. And that's what I see about Robin Hood now. That's what I see what's happening there.
I would hope that those players and there is connect, there's team sheets, there's all of that. So those players that have been showing up, I would hope that they would be allowed to go and play for another team.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, exactly.
You can't penalize them. They want to play, and it's difficult. They have injuries and they have people overseas. Like it's, wow. I mean, I watched Robin Hood play North Village that night of BAA, and they legit had no bench. Like there was just coach standing at the bench and the physio, I think. So it's not like we didn't see this one coming. It's just very unfortunate.
Well, I know my hope is that Robin Hood first get together and decide what they're going to do, and then advise the association what their plan is. Only because you don't want to wait another weekend where you have a team warming up, ready to play, and all of a sudden they can't field a team. You're prepared all day for a match. You're ready to play, and then it's we're not taken to the field because you can't get enough players. It's unfortunate. Yeah.
St. George's beat them 11-1, right?
Yes.
They haven't played since.
No.
Okay. I just thought I'd put that out there.
Yeah. They've had two heavy defeats, back-to-back defeats, and since that St. George's one, they haven't fielded a team, which can actually. I mean, some of the younger players that they had, you want to go school the next day losing 11-1 in the Premier Division?
Sure.
Not right now.
Sure.
Not right
That's something
now.
we have to think about, right? And have to look at. And we said it in the beginning of the season that the leaking goals are something they have to work on. But I know, it's easy to say I'm injured, and they are physically or mentally. They are suffering from injuries, right?
Yeah. But let me ask you a question, both of you. What is Dante Lovelock's position in the club now? Where is he?
Well, let's put it like this. I was informed that he wasn't even at the field on Thursday night as the coach, which is a worrying concern. If in fact that is true, if he wasn't at the field, it's got to be a worrying concern. I mean, he might have a valid reason for not being there, but if the coach is not coming, why would the player show up?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know, so,
Yeah, the coaches shouldn't. That's right. Exactly true. But again, it's what we're talking about. We talk about longevity in terms of with our country and you know with such a small team and the players you have, who's going to go play for who,
mm,
and a team like that, you know, like what happened to Vesco. Just look at
yeah,
the history of Vesco. Look what's
mhm,
happened over the years. What happened to
yeah,
Vesco to Ghana. And
It's
now we are now experiencing that with Robin Hood.
This is tricky because what sanctions aren't even in place. So, for instance, if I'm Dante, I'm the coach. I sent the message. My manager, whoever, has sent the message to BFA to say we can't field a team for the first one because of A, B, and C.
right.
Hmm.
Then Thursday comes, we can't field a team still because of A, B, C. Um, while it's not the association's fault,
Mhm.
what do we have in place? It'd be interesting what's in place for that. Like, feel bad that I
Well,
know
I
what's
was
in place.
assured by officials from the association they have things in place structurally, fines, etc.
Okay. Yeah,
And
I got
that's
it. I
why
have fun and stuff
yeah,
for
and
teams
that's
that don't
why
play.
you only have the three opportunities. After the third one, you're basically out, and then a decision has to be made on exactly what we're talking about. What happens to those players? I mean, as you already indicated, Coach Keita, the players that showed up to try and help, hopefully they're given an opportunity to continue to play somewhere else.
Cool.
Because you know we still have a lot of football to be played, and there are some teams that could possibly use one or two or maybe three of those players.
Oh
You know,
yes.
Oh yeah.
so the decision will come down to, and again, we want, we would hope that Robin Hood would make a decision whether or not they're going to continue this or stop it early enough this week to make that decision, inform the association make the, you know, get the clubs in to talk to them about how they're going to address this, and if they're just going to just authorize 3 points and one team has a bye each week with that 3 points. The
Yeah.
problem comes is this: you've had 6 teams play them. If
Yes.
it comes down to goal difference,
Yes.
you're only getting 3 or possibly 6 if you've played them. If you
Twice.
haven't played them yet, you're only going to get 6 goals. Where a team like St. George's beat them 11-1, their 3 goals now becomes 14-1.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, it's the logistics is gonna be crazy.
It's gonna
Yeah,
be great.
If they
Yeah.
drop out, if they drop, hey, that's the logistics is gonna be crazy. Because if they drop out, you can't say, um, well, all the games that played take those points from those
take those,
teams, and if
or
they,
just take the goals from the teams. You can't take the goals from the teams.
yeah,
They were
that's gonna be.
scored.
Robin knows
Yeah.
can come. I got you.
I, you know, before we get into the logistics of all this and that, but I still think of the history of clubs and what's
Mm,
happening in Bermuda. And I said last year, let's say for something like the Rangers, when they were going on a fifth streak of their
mm.
2 years ago, where's the junior program? Where's the under 17? What are you plucking from? What are you building? What
Well,
are you doing? Hmm?
they. I mean, if you look at the, I think it's Warwick Archers, who are the feeder into Robin Hood, right?
Yeah,
They had a lot of their 17s going to school,
right.
so now they only had to pick from the 16s, and guys are just going 16 to pull into the Robin Hood team because obviously Robin Hood's short, but
Yeah.
a 16-year-old playing, he'd be excited to play in the Premier Division. He's walking off Wellington Oval losing 11-1. You think he wants to go back to playing that Premier Division? Not at
For real.
all. He's going to want to play in the 16 or under 17 division where he can be competitive. He can't be competitive in that.
No. Maybe we'll
Absolutely.
go back to talk about what I said earlier in the show about recruitment. A recruitment drive for those type of clubs. You know, can you say, I'm going to up that player, let's say Tamika Gooder from, you know, I need you to come from Big Robin Hood. Whatever you can kind of like say, convince them to come play for you. And that's what I think teams like Robin Hood and Vesco will have to do to entice people to come play for them. Because it's not, ain't nobody from nobody's going to just go and say, I'll go play for Vasco da Gama. Oh, I like Vasco. No, it just ain't going to happen.
Well, although we can't prove it, they did have that incentive.
Yeah, but well, it don't seem whatever those incentives were.
It's the biggest talk, but without proving it, you know,
Yes.
we've had these scenarios take place where
Yes.
you would see
Right.
a top player from a club all of a sudden who leads that club, all of a sudden he's dressed in another uniform and enticed to go to a different club. And that in itself says a lot. And
Yeah.
now they found themselves in this position. You know, I mean, if you look at it, and it's not just, could you remember Paget a few years ago? They had an influx of all these players. They went up, they came back down, and then all those players left them to the point where they had to drop out of the league. Literally had to drop out of the league because they couldn't field a team. So it's not just the Robin Hood or the Vasco. It happens in our football. You know, we've had two teams over the last 3 years, BAA and Paget, drop out of the league, and both have come back. Vasco made a comeback, and they're now back out. So we're seeing these things develop, and I want to go back to that comment because because I saw Coach Keita, the other alternative, well, it is an alternative, is you void all the games that Robin Hood have played.
Yes.
Wow.
And becomes about the guild.
Right, because if someone like Jonte scored 4 times, so now does he go back to 3?
Yeah.
Well, maybe. Yeah, it's very. I just saw, you know. Yeah, a tweet coming about
some clubs are going to argue that they've actually played them, and you know, hey, what do we do? So I just think when we hear there's a special meeting called, because I think the clubs are going to have to come together and have some discussion on what to do going forward. I know the executive may make a decision, but will that decision be the benefit or the complaints of several other teams? Because there's only 3 teams left to play them. You know, I know Crossroads won't worry because they need points, so they're going to take these 3.
They'll take the 3 points on the 3 girls. They'll be like, all right, don't care about God.
And same thing with Boulevard. Boulevard, if Boulevard get the 3 points, they actually move ahead of both Somerset and Hamilton Parish, who have 6. Boulevard would have 7.
Nice.
So, you know, Crossroads would then have 3. Yeah.
I glory in my colleagues of the Hill Spirit. That's gonna be a late night blast off.
Sure. Well, let's take a commercial break, and then when we come back, we'll talk the Dudley Eve final, where the Somerset Trojans were crowned champions, 3-2 winners over the Devonshire Cougars. We'll be right back.
Putting down the weapons.
You seen this?
Welcome to the new bulk store, Lindo's Next Level. Wake up in the morning with enough coffee to keep you running throughout the entire day. Your pet at home deserves the best. Stock up on dog food to keep your puppy happy. Need a quick, tasty lunch at home? Your chicken nuggets will be jumping right out of the freezer. What's a movie night without popcorn? You can never have too much. Lindo's next level. Why go anyplace else?
I'm also thankful and grateful because my greatest value of my life is my legacy.
But why I do it? I feel supposed to do it. I was put here to be here, to do what I'm doing right now. Once I see somebody moving, it's the greatest joy for me. There's a little person being born.
I am thankful that people have given me the trust, for me to empower them, from my players to my family to friends. And that's what I'm thankful for. I'm thankful that people have allowed me and trusted me to be in their life.
And welcome back. Now, on Friday at the Devonshire Recreation Club, it was the Dudley Eve final between the, sorry about that, Coach, between the Devonshire Cougars and Somerset Trojans. As we know, Somerset Trojans came out on top, 3-2, entertaining match. Devonshire Cougars would eventually be kicking themselves because they created enough opportunities in the match to seal it early, with Somerset staying and remaining very disciplined, although Cougars did manage to create quite a few chances. But Punchy, let's talk a little bit about Cougars. They've been playing rather well all season and putting away chances, but get to the final and it's almost like you're mishitting opportunities.
Yeah. In the final third the other night, I thought they just weren't that good. In the final third, there was a lot of build up. Yes, they got on the outside of Somerset. Balls come to the box, but I just thought there was like some of the misses. The goal scoring opportunities that they created just did it just didn't go in. They look a bit flat at times too. They were too slow in their approach getting the ball forward. They would play 4 and 5 passes, of course, back. Then the ball would go wide to the wing backs. And then when they got in the final third, you just didn't see the finishing, what they are capable of doing, which I saw up there against North Village to get to the final of PHP. But you got to give credit to Somerset too, before we even go there. You got to give credit to Somerset and the way they came out. But with Cougars, yeah, they were flat. And, there would be a course concern. My concern would be, I think the right wing back, kid, what's his name, Tilly? I forget. For
the right wing back, Lily.
What's his name?
Did Lily play right wing back?
Lily, yeah, he got sent off. The question got sent off. Yeah. I think I want to make this comment about this Kwame is listening to Laura. Why do you have such a talented player playing away from the goal in the areas that he should be? He's cracked. It's just good. I think he's much more. He's an intelligent player. His passing is correct. He makes some of the passes that he makes from wide areas. They could be better if he was playing near the goal, inside. And so that's the same thing I find about Marco Warren. Why is that guy playing at that position? That's one of my things about what I saw about Cougars. If I was, I'd get in Kwame, so I say, look, Kwame, I think he should be this guy here should bring a little bit more inside, a little bit more forward. Intelligent, very technical, sees the game, reads the game well. But two, when at times when it was important decisions to make, he's making it from wide positions, that intricate pass. And it's a goal score. He can score goals. But I just thought that what caught up with Cougars is that they had to be jogged. They got a shock because all of a sudden Somerset came out there from the get-go. They were like working the work rate was tremendous. And the organization was good too. So kudos to Somerset and the turnaround of Scott Morton. But my thing would be with them, will they continue? Is that just a one-off? One-off.
Well, Coach, one of the things we talked about, even though we all took Cougars, was the fact that Scott had the opportunity to work with those players and come up with a game plan on how to shut Cougars down, taking those passing lanes. And we saw Cougars having to try and go over the top instead of going through those lanes to create opportunities.
There's no doubt the quality of in the coach. Yeah. I'm glad you made that statement, Dickie. For me, it was that Cougars changed the team around a bit from the team that actually got them there, with for whatever reason, maybe injuries, maybe to having some players to have a look at. But Somerset, Coach Scott obviously did his homework, and would have worked on that throughout the week to get the team ready to do just what they done, which was nullify any penetration and to force Cougars to actually go over the top and to try to figure it out. But at 3-0, right? I have to give Cougars credit because they did put up a challenge, to try to get back in the match. But again, kudos to Somerset for coming out there and not being defeated, right? It was very easy. I mean, I'm not gonna say who said it, but somebody said it, that this was gonna be the most lopsided final ever. And at 3-0, I said, well, I guess he was right, just the wrong team. And so,
Right. Exactly.
at the end of the day,
Yes.
it's almost unpredictable, right? And I'm very impressed. I'm actually happy because we're talking about something quite opposite than the Robin Hood fiasco. So this is exciting for me to know that a team actually came out there and said, I don't care what's been happening. I don't care how our results have been. We came here to play and play they did. And it was a happy feeling for me, not a feeling because Cougars didn't win or because but a happy feeling because the team that was considered the heavy underdogs, and all my Somerset people are chiming in on the chat, I know, that you are, yeah, Silver City, I get it. But a team that was the heavy underdogs actually came to play. And from what I know, somewhat entertained the crowd because I think it was such a pleasant surprise. Such a pleasant surprise. So again, congratulations to Somerset on winning, but it's not all doom and gloom here for us. There is, that game there gave us some hope that we can turn this around.
Sure.
But
one of the things, one sec, Punch. Mm-hmm. One of the things when Cougars went down 1-0, it is almost like it was deer in the headlights. Like, okay, we find ourselves in this position after creating 3 or 4 chances, clear-cut chances, but we didn't put the ball in there. Now we find ourselves down 1-0 because of a defensive error. And then another defensive error right after the halftime break. Now you find yourself down 2-0. It's almost like, okay, so now we're all looking around at each other. So who's going to lift us up? Who's going to, when you start seeing that, the doubt creeps in. When they went down 3-0, they threw all caution to the wind to get themselves back into the game. So go ahead, Punchy.
There's a couple of things that I made quite a bit of note of. First of all, Scott's decision to play Damon Mean at a left wing, actually a left fullback. He was the MVP of that game for me. I made some notes on that. One-on-ones, he was very smart. He was very good, and a lot of times you're looking at, okay, what role would Damon Mean play for? I mean, maybe in the next game, Scott will move it, but he played that game really well. He was smart. He never got beaten one-on-ones. Never. Some of the saving tackles that he made. And I was very impressed that he was really calm when he got into a tackle position, just how calm he was. Now, I'm also seeing at times, I saw Somerset play I was very impressed what they did with De Silva. They didn't push him apart. He played behind the strikers. I get his role that he played. He's not fast, but he's quite smart.
Yes.
Yeah, and then they got 2 others. I don't know the names. There was a young player that played history player, the shorter one. He's just a very good, comfortable person on the ball. Then what was most impressive was the little thin one. I don't. It's about 5'6". He's not got a whole lot of weight to him, but he's got some. He's got really talent. So Somerset just didn't win the game by they were really at times they really played good football. But you know what Morty done, I think we got to give kudos to Morty also about those decisions, how he set the team up. And I saw from the beginning, the first 5 minutes, I said, these guys have really come to play. The heads were up, they were at Cougars. And that's when Cougars were 2-0. I'm like, whoa, this is the same team we beat 6-0 ago, 3 weeks ago, or a month ago, because I saw that. But they came out of the blocks really well. And I have to applaud them. The crowd was very impressed. The people was like, "Whoa, this is." I thought the game was really good, really good. Again, I applaud Somerset. And what also was so good to see the amount of support that Somerset had.
Yes.
Wow, yeah. Which it reminded me of the olden days. You know, young people. There's a lot of support up there. So again, I'm glad that we all got that wrong, of course. But But I'm very, very happy. Now, again, what I said earlier, will that sustain? Will that momentum stay? Can they keep that up? That's what we'll see.
Yeah. Well, let's take another commercial break. But on that comment about we all got it wrong, sometimes it's good to be wrong because it actually makes a good game. Right.
Yeah.
I'm also thankful and grateful because my greatest value of my life is my legacy.
But why I do it? I feel supposed to do it. I was put here to be here, to do what I'm doing right now. Once I see somebody moving, it's the greatest joy for me. There's a little person being born.
I am thankful that people have given me the trust, for me to empower them, from my players to my family to friends. And that's what I'm thankful for. I'm thankful that people have allowed me and trusted me to be in their life.
Putting down the weapons.
You seeing this?
Welcome to the new bulk store, Lindo's Next Level. Wake up in the morning with enough coffee to keep you running throughout the entire day. Your pet at home deserves the best. Stock up on dog food to keep your puppy happy. Need a quick, tasty lunch at home? Your chicken nuggets will be jumping right out of the freezer. What's a movie night without popcorn? You can never have too much. Lindo's Next Level. Why go anyplace else?
And welcome back. Well, we've had now the FA Challenge Cup preliminary round take place, and we've had some rather interesting scores. Let me quickly run through the scores that we have. We had starting with Footy Kings defeating Young Man's Social Club. We had Tough Dogs defeat Somerset Eagles 5-1. Of course, today, Paget Lions defeated BAA 2-1. Devonshire Colts edged St. David's 1-0. And Wolves defeated Southampton Rangers 4-0. So let's actually start with that first match last evening, and that was Tough Dogs from Corona League defeating Somerset Eagles Somerset Eagles, as we know, have been struggling in the first division, and last night was no different as they scored the game's first goal, but then ended up on the wrong end of a 5-1 defeat to Tough Dogs. You had. I'm smiling because we talk about the levels of divisions, and I'm just stunned. I'm just stunned. I'm just stunned.
Yeah, hey, I need to get team sheets before I make my decision moving forward, because this. I mean, yeah, you're playing Corona League, but can easily be playing Premier League, right?
Yes. There's some of the players that are playing in the Corona League, turning out for these teams, especially when it comes to the FA. They offer a different scenario for a club, and of course, with Tough Dogs, they have experience. These guys, some of them may not have the legs anymore, but they got a second half hat trick from Malachi Jones. That kind of sealed the game for him. Sean Brown still playing. We all know the talent that Sean has. So you ran into a team that just ran you off the pitch.
They can't run, man. What it makes is they can't run. I mean, I know I'm the only one that put my hand up for Eagles. But I was really hoping that this would be a victory for them. I don't know where Jeremy goes. I mean, well, his one up on Robin Hood is still got players coming out to play.
Yeah.
So, that's the positive. But it'd be interesting to know what their objectives are. It'd be interesting to know how he's keeping them engaged enough to keep showing up.
Right.
Because they have not won a match.
Mm-hmm.
And they probably would have been thinking going into last night that as a Corona League team, and until they got on the field and they realized, oh, wait a minute. They went up 1-0 from what I know, right?
Yep.
They went up 1-0 and probably was feeling, okay, we could do this, and then got smacked. But I really don't know the answer. I'm just happy that the guys are still showing up to play every week, regardless of the result. Hopefully this one didn't sting them too much. Now they say, I ain't showing up. And I just hope that they can just kind of keep them together and get what he can from them.
Yeah. Well, they have an influx of players coming in with the November 15th transfer. So let's see if they can make a difference in the team. But Punty, you were the only one to take Tough Dogs.
Mm-hmm.
And they came out, a big win.
Yeah, I have a little inside track about what's happening. I have some little inside track about that. There are numbers. They have numbers. They're waiting for this transfer deadline to come into play. But do they have quality? There's a whole lot of young. Now, Jeremy Salon goes up there. He's living in the area, and of course, he's not from the area. What is going on up there? His type of coaching, he comes from Devonshire Coach. What is his type of coaching? What's the info? It don't look like people are paying him any mind. Look at the results. Look at the results. Have they won a game? No, they haven't. No, but there are a lot of young players up there. And I wasn't like last year when I told you I was beating 9-0. It was like the demise of this club. Look, I'll put my hand up and say this, sir. I'll put my hand up. Are we going to witness another club that's going to eventually fall? But I don't think so with some Eagles. I think what's happening there is that there's an influx. They have youngsters, right? But what they don't have is direction there. Where they're going, what to do. Now, is Jeremy right for them? From what I see, maybe he needs more time. But it don't. That's a bad result. That's a very poor result from today. And it's kind of interesting what's going to happen next. Is he going to stay? when the transfer, when these young players come. But that's really poor. Remember, I don't think that result. I'm not happy with that result, even though I said the top goes to win. But it's just not right. Something's not right up there, man.
Mm. And the other match last night, Footy Kings defeated Young Man Social Club 3-2. Now we all talked about how well Social Club started the league, but now they're facing some hard times because they lost to St. David's last week, and now you lose to a Corona League team this week. What has gone wrong at the club? Something has gone wrong.
Oh, can't negate the quality of Keyshawn Bean.
No, we'll never negate that.
No.
Not negate the quality of Keyshawn Bean, right? And again, another player who could be still very much instrumental in the Premier League.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the Social Club we've grown to love, right? It's they come out of the blocks firing, and they go in a lull, and then at the end of the season, you'll see they'll pick up again, and they'll be in promotion talks and all of that kind of stuff again, and just miss out, right? And that's just the Social Club that we've come to know. I know for a fact I put Footy King, so I know I got a point there. But yeah, I don't know the Social Club. They're gonna run hot and cool all season. I just don't see it being any different.
No, I'm glad. I'm sorry. I'm glad. I made some notes on that also. Social Club is a case study, one of the greatest clubs in this country, right? Look where they are. I mean, there's not a whole lot of talent there, you know. There's not a whole lot. They're not a whole lot of talent there. The one of the richest clubs in the country, one of the richest black clubs. Am I correct?
Correct. Yeah.
At least they profess to be. At least they profess to be. Right. It also goes true with Warwick Ruckman. So here we got Social Club, and maybe the same thing we're talking about teams. Why are their recruitment is so poor? Now, if you got what are the intentions? What's going on there? So let's say that what Norfolk Southern, hi Kenny Thompson, we got 3 teams in all the finals on the 13th, on the 15th. So our recruitment, we're building a structure. So Social Club is a case study. It's like, well, what are they doing? One of the greatest clubs 15 to 20 years ago, 30 years ago. When's the last time they ever been up in the top division? So what's going on there also? Streakers were on there. Am I correct? Streakers were on there. But what is the quality? What are they recruiting? Are they getting better players? No, they are not. So I did think that maybe they will get into the next round because who we picked them. But then I'm thinking, wow, what is the structure then? There is some, what is Social Club's intent? Where are they going for the next 4 or 5 years? I don't know if a junior program is. What is a junior program like? We have to ask these questions about them. So it's like, wow, that's the result. Yeah. Oh yeah. That's the result because of what is going on. I mean, really.
No, let me tell you something, right? And this could be said for the island, but you just brought up, you jogged my memory in one of the Somerset fans said earlier that, Somerset's a cup team. What we don't do well here is teach the current players about the history. So when you say Social Club was the top club 20, I don't remember Social Club being the top club, right? I'm 47.
We're going back in time, Nikita.
Right, but what I'm saying is that the players that play for Social Club have probably very little knowledge of the history of the club. The players that's playing for Southampton Rangers probably have very little history of them as a football club. They'll know a lot about them as a cricket club, but the history of them as a football club. Whereas in places, teams like North Village, teams like PhD, teams like Danny Tom, do a little bit better with the history of the club. You know the Gumbo Beans, the Randy Beans, the Neves Blues. You know of those people, right? Like those people's names are constantly spoken about. Do we really talk about the Pinks Losers of Social Club or the John Tuckers of Southampton Rangers, right? How often among the younger population do you hear those names? You know, I can remember a young boy playing for North Village, and I'm almost certain he told Ralph Bean Sr. to shut up. And I'll never forget, Herbie Baskin was at the field, and he said, "Do you know who you said that to? They should make you go paint his house with a toothbrush." Right? This guy was playing for North Village and had no clue who Gumbo Bean was. So, you know, right now, guys are going to play. Social Club is going to battle. They're battling with Boulevard, they're battling with Dandytown, they're battling with North Village, they're battling with Cougars. Right? Um, and you speak about recruitment really, you know, a lot, but it's difficult. It's difficult. It's like a Southampton Rangers battling with PHC. They're never going to win that battle. Somerset Eagles is battling with Somerset. They're never going to win that battle, right? It's going to take, you know, and guys, the football in schools is not over the top either, right? You got some people just that aren't really into football, and so it's not something that is a highlight. It's unfortunate, but it's the reality, right? So, you know, clubs can try to adopt a school, but then you got those little boys that's really interested in playing football. You know, it's difficult. It's very hard right now, and those teams are going to continue to struggle.
And I'm glad, Kitty, you brought this point up, because I'm saying to you, we're having this conversation about why these clubs. I know we're gonna go on to the other scores, but I want to make clear, because I'm doing a case study in terms of look. Let me just change subject. Look what happened to Newcastle, great club, right? For years been in the doldrums, and now they got this new coach, and they got money, and they got quality players. Social Club, well, going back to Social Club, teams like Social Club. Oh, yeah, they have history, but do they have a quality player? Do they have a recruitment strategy? So what is it? I understand it right well. With teams like North Village, we have, it's been like everything is on the pinpoint. Getting coaches back, recruitment, getting more young players, so it's not by accident. So what Social Club is, it's like, if you're going to compete in North Village, if you're going to come get this, you're going to go do your recruitment. You have to get a board that can concentrate on where you want to go the next 5 years. And I think that's what's happening to teams like Social Club. I think they're going to remain where they are, even with being what they have, they say they have. But I don't see no improvement there for the last. I don't see no improvement in terms of where they're going in the next 5 years.
But well, you speak of infrastructure, right? So infrastructure. So the last successful person who was there, did they make sure that they left something for their successor? And that's what happens a lot. A lot of times we want things to go well when we're in charge, but whatever comes behind us comes behind us. Right? So we have to do better as a people to make sure that we're putting stuff in place. Me as a national coach, stuff's going to be put in place, and whoever comes behind, they have to be successful as well. And I will do what I can, if I can, to help them. They want that help to be successful. Sometimes you have coaches that I'm going to have the success, and then I leave, it's going to fall apart. Right? So that could be the problem as well. So we have to make sure that we leave stuff so that the next person comes along can be as successful, you know, as you are.
For the club's sake.
Conversation is going forever.
Yeah.
It's going forever. Let's
jump into today's matches. Last week, these two teams met, Southampton Rangers and Wolves. Wolves came away with a 2-0 win. This week, Wolves come away with a 4-0 win. I watched a bit of this particular game. It was a battle of Dante Brinkman against Troy Tucker. And, of course, Troy ended up scoring twice, with Wolves advancing, defeating Southampton Rangers. But the mere fact that Troy gets involved so heavily and his players trust him a lot, where at the beginning of the game, Southampton Rangers were going away from Dante. He almost had to run them down to get the ball kind of thing. And then they created some chances. But, you know, Southampton Rangers, remember, they started off like Social Club. Started off with a bang, but now find themselves in a very, very difficult position. They've lost 3 games in a row. They've had players sent off. You know, it's almost like, where do they go from here? Southampton Rangers, coach.
Oh, here we go, right? Listen again. Quality of Troy Tucker, right? He can carry a team.
Mhm.
Another player that easily could, when he was playing for North Village in the Premier League, was easily probably the most valuable player. Um, Rangers is gonna have to figure out what happened in the beginning and look to that. But can they? Do they have the mindset to do that? Right? Again, we have to keep talking about the mental part of the game. We
Mhm.
talk about the one thing that Maurice is trying to get us to do as national coaches is not only worry about the physical attributes of players, even as far as the mental capacity in the position that they play. Do they have the mental capacity to play in that position? We may look at them and say they're fast and we play them on the wings, but do they have the mental capacity to do that? Does Rangers have a leader who's able to rally them around? You played a team 2 weeks in a row and conceded 6 goals and scored 0. Where do you go from here? What is the conversation? Me as a coach, we have a meeting tomorrow. We're here to kind of cool down or training. If training's on Tuesday, it's a meeting, it's not a training session. Let's discuss it. Let's have feedback. Let's be willing to accept constructive feedback and we move from there. If you cannot do that, then it's going to be a problem because it becomes a blame game now. It becomes a blame game. All right. And they start pointing fingers and, yeah, this is why we're losing and you know what I mean? So Rangers going to have to, I really don't think that they're going to fall too far off the way, but they're going to have to reel it in soon. They're going to have to reel it in soon.
Mhm. And of course, Punchy, you once talked about the structure of Wolves, but you add in a few players, and one of those players, Troy Tucker, they do have Marcelo Thomas assisting on the sideline with them.
Yeah.
Um, you know, they've seemed to have come to the bowl game now. They started off the season a bit slow, but here they are now
Yeah.
in the first round of the FA Cup. They're pretty much in the hunt for. They're in second place in the standings. So your thoughts on Wolves advancing?
Well, like Maceo said last week, let's keep playing Troy Tucker, huh? Make sure he keeps playing, huh? Just keep playing. I mean, his personality is good. And like Kitty was saying also when he played for Norfolk, his leadership qualities are evident, are very evident. He has a very, and to play and lead, and he plays, like a leader.
Mm.
So it's no doubt why Wolves are where they are now. What would happen now is that how often he will continue playing, who's in charge of Wolves, what do they want to do, and that's a discussion that we're always having now. But it's great. I keep fingers up for what I see with they have this huge following.
Mhm.
Are they organized to go to another level? What do they do next? And that's my concern for them. Even if Troy starts playing extra, what would happen? And so a great, they got great quality down there. I'm telling you, go down and watch the trainers, go down and watch the players down there. What will happen is the organization. What is the future? What is the plan in terms of the next 3 or 4 years? Even if they're promoted, which I think they could be, if they're already pushed. What will be next? Yeah. For
Yeah.
Wolves.
Then we had the match at BAA Field where Paget Lions beat BAA 2-1. They edged them 2-1. We know we've always talked about Paget and how well they'll do in this league with the amount of players that they have, the quality of players that they picked up. But a young BAA team, they were able to hang in there. Just the thoughts of Paget, Punchy, edging BAA.
Yeah, that was a very interesting game. I didn't see the second half there. It was interesting because the structure of the game was that I thought BA with a better team in the second half. I didn't think the first half, but with a better structure team. They're still young.
Mm-hmm.
The way they put together the attacks, how they nullified Paget, but you could see the structure there. You could see BA structure. Again, experience. That's what I saw with BA. They're good to watch. They'll go watch. Trust me.
Yeah.
They'll go watch, but inexperience where it matters, and
Yeah.
that's what I saw about Bam. You know, my concern would be also if they get promoted, who would they? What would happen for them in terms of recruitment? You know, I guess
Yeah.
people will get over there and go pray for him, but a perfect example, experience today with Wolves. Experience. I mean, with Paget. Experience. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Coach, you heard Country talk about the inexperience of BAA, and we talked about that for a while because they have 16, 17-year-olds, but their expectations are a lot different under the guidance of Mark Mills and Coach Bascom. You know, they've instilled that they want them to learn how to play the game. Results aren't always that important, although you want to win. But as you can see, the structure of the team, I've watched them play a few times, and they look to make sure that they knock the ball around, keep possession. Now, the inexperience is that sometimes when they play those teams that are a lot stronger than them, they tend to get knocked off the ball a lot, you know, so things break down. But your thoughts on a team like BAA and the youthfulness?
Absolutely. So the hard part, they're fixing. You know, those boys are 16, 17 years old. They'll be in the gym. They're probably in the gym now, and they're gonna get stronger. So imagine when they get stronger. They've now learned the game. They've learned how to play the game. Now it's just a matter of just being tough. It's now the physicality of it. All right. And it, you know, it's similar to us as Bermuda, and we play against some of our in our international matches, right? It's not tactically and technically is not our issue. We're not far off from the teams, definitely not tactically, but the physicality. So what they're doing now is they're just learning now how to deal with the physicality of the bigger and stronger players. But give them some time. If that team they don't fly off, go off the island next year, look out for them because they will be coming, and their minds will be in a good space because they understand the objective. They understand, they get it. Losing 2-1 to Paget probably felt like a win to them because they get, they know the expectations before they even go into the match. And if they would have won, it would have been great. No coach sends the team on the field and say, listen, we're probably not gonna win this one today, but you know what I mean? Expectation, yes. Winning is the objective, especially FA Cup match, but they will fully understand their expectations, and the coaches will make sure they understand, especially if they reach the objective. And if, as Uncle Punch said, that they looked good in the second half, organized, you know, sometimes they have to go through a few minutes in the match to kind of feel, you know, the inexperience is like, oh man, I don't know how this team plays. But after they get going and they find their confidence, you know, 2-1's not a bad result for BA.
No, not against Patrick.
Not against Paget.
Against Patrick. The final match in the preliminary round saw Devonshire Colts travel to Lords and St. David's and edge St. David's 1-0. Those two teams played earlier this season up Somerset, and the same result where Devonshire Colts edged St. David's. So, you know, to advance in the FA Cup, you know, second half penalty. Coach, someone like Ray Jones on the side for Devonshire Colts manages to organize his team. And I watched them play Somerset Eagles last week, and I looked at the team and I'm like, how are they going to manage to get this over the line? You have some outstanding individuals, but struggle in a team setting, and he has to like try to make them understand that it's a team that moves forward as opposed to an individual moving forward. So he's managed to get him over the line for this one. But your thoughts on Devonshire Colts?
Yeah, a good job, right? To Ray, and they started shaking, right? They started shaking, and obviously some form of belief. And again, it would be a team that is working on certain objectives, you know, and we may look and say, oh, just 1-0, but it's a win, right? You know, they've turned those losses into wins now. And so whatever he is instilling in them, whatever has changed from the beginning of the season to now, the players are starting to believe in themselves. And they probably will be disappointed that it was a 1-0 against St. David's, but maybe those players are actually starting to believe that we can do this. And
yeah, tough
Tough dogs still talking. I know that's tough dogs. You talk. Talk until you die. You earned it. But
I have
that's a play
No,
to
no,
get
no,
your
Punch.
boys. That's
I'm
what
sorry,
that's
yeah,
about.
sorry. Yeah.
But for me, I think that good job on Colts. We were hard on Colts in the beginning of the season, and they're somewhat keeping us quiet right now. But that's good. I'm happy that they're keeping us quiet because that means that some work's being done and improvements are being made. So yeah, I know I picked St. Davis this week. That's the last chance. But at the end of the day, good job, and let's see what happens now. The next one is a little bit tougher, right? So, folks, whatever you're doing to get over the line, you keep doing that until you're able to be convincing. Sometimes it's just about getting over the line until we find our feet. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on Colts for sure.
Yeah. And Punchy St. David's again. I mean, you've been in that field. You know
Yeah.
what they're up against.
Yeah.
But they knocked Social Club off the pedestal last week.
Yeah.
With a big win, and then this week, no goals, St. David's.
No, I still think that they are comfortable where they are. They're going to be that type of club. I'm not gonna say what my nephew said to him about a cricket club anyway. But they're comfortable where they are. That's a good result for them. They'll think, well, we should have won this game. But again, it's they're always gonna have a team, but they are gonna be where they are. St. David's gonna be where they are. My thing I made a note about if I have a discussion with you all about Devonshire Colts, my concern for Devonshire Colts, even though you asked about St. David's. St. David's are just where they are, right? My concern for Devonshire Colts is actually with Ray Jones. What is like? Why hasn't he ever thought about coaching another team? Why hasn't he tested himself with another team? Because his staying with Devonshire Colts, this is only my personal opinion about this. Why hasn't he taken up another challenge? Like what happened with Jomo? At least Jomo is, that challenge is going to be difficult at Boulevard. But I thought maybe Ray Jones would have been taking a job at Dennytown or it doesn't work. So my point is that with Devonshire Colts, there's not a whole lot of quality there. Trust me, it's not. I was hoping that Ray Jones would take another position at a club, maybe a club in upper division, and see. Let's put him to test. Let's see what he's, And my concern for Devonshire Colts again, they'll be just like Rangers. They will be. They used to be an institution. I'm not saying they're still not, but they used to be a great institution. Now look at them. So my challenge to Ray Jones is just say like, well, why don't you try something else, like what Sergio Aguero did with Hamilton Parish? Let's see you in another arena with a different club. Let's see what your coaching is about. And that's what I'm saying about Scott Morton. You got to applaud him for what I saw the other night. You got Kwame. Let's see Ray Jones in a different position, put himself in a position and say, no, let's see your results. It's easy for him and Devonshire Colts. Yes, you don't know the players, so he's to talk about that. And I made a note of that. And so I would like to see him go from another coaching a different club at a higher level in the division, such as with Kenny Thompson, those guys, and let's see what it's about. I mean, I understand this is, coaches in life, but let's see you coach at another level. That's my challenge for you.
But he does coach at a different level. He's in the national career, but so we take Ray Jones out of Colts. What happens now? And I'm not saying that it's nobody else at Colts. I'm not saying that, but I have to give a level of respect for Ray, because through all the ups and downs, and I'm going to tell you, this is something that's missing at clubs, right? If you look at a Dennytown, you look at North Village's coaches, right? Outside of Kenny, who came from up Somerset, like it's North Village people there, right? You look at a Dennytown, right? There is Dennytown coaches. Like last year, like Dennytown has Kyle Blankendow, the Bob Boyles, Aaron Dank. There's a Dennytown people, right? You really cannot move Ray, because for me that's a selfish game, right? You can't move Ray out of Devonshire Colts at this moment. Definitely not right now. Ray wasn't, I could be wrong in saying it, in the beginning of the season, I don't think he was as instrumental or as involved. I don't know who the coach is there, all right? I don't know if it's the coach there or if he was the coach at that time. But his influence, right? His influence within that team, and yes, we respect the coach who got a lot of talent, a lot of the players are overseas. I get it. And some of the talented players moved on to other teams as well. But I would have to disagree with him moving at this time. Maybe if Colts was in this position, but had a whole lot of people jumping to go and coach, to go and take over the head coach position at the senior level, maybe. But his heart is amateur Colts, and I respect that a whole lot because it's not something that we see too often.
Yeah. I must add, there's been 2 occasions that I can recall where he stepped aside to allow 2 other people to come in and coach the team that did not work, and he had to end up taking back over the team because, for whatever reason, those 2 coaches just couldn't fit the bill and, decided to step away. So here he comes in and having to come in again. This having to move out to challenge yourself. I think he's challenged himself enough with the players that he's had to keep the club going. So.
I think he's taking up to the challenge, right? Like I said, it's not easy right now. You lost a lot of players. You got a target on your back, but you're staying at the helm, and you're going with the ship. Whichever way it goes, up or down, you're staying with it. And I think that I personally feel that he's making the right decision at this time because I'm almost certain he steps away. It won't be as we be talking about a whole nother team.
Well, we're going to take our final commercial break. When we come back, we'll look at the picks from last week, picks coming up from this week, and we'll pick that player of the week from last week. We'll be right back.
Welcome to the new bulk store, Lindo's Next Level. Wake up in the morning with enough coffee to keep you running throughout the entire day. Your pet at home deserves the best. Stock up on dog food to keep your puppy happy. Need a quick, tasty lunch at home? Your chicken nuggets will be jumping right out of the freezer. What's a movie night without popcorn? You can never have too much. Lindo's Next Level. Why go anyplace else?
I'm also thankful and grateful because my greatest value of my life is my legacy.
But why I do it? I feel supposed to do it. I was put here to be here, to do what I'm doing right now. Once I see somebody moving, it's the greatest joy for me. There's a little person being born.
I am thankful that people have given me the trust, for me to empower them, from my players to my family to friends. And that's what I'm thankful for. I'm thankful that people have allowed me and trusted me to be in their life.
Putting down the weapons.
You seen this?
And welcome back. Well, let's get into those picks that we didn't do quite well on. As we know, that Thursday night match between the Boulevard Blazers and Robin Hood. Robin Hood did not field a team. The association, we will wait, but we already know that they will award 3 points and a 3-0 win to the Boulevard Blazers. So we won't count that as of yet.
I got some clarity on that if they don't make it, if they don't play as well.
Yes.
They forfeit. I got some clarity. Ooh.
Yes, I have some as well.
Okay, good. We probably got the same clarity.
We'll talk about that just before we go off, and I actually have it in writing, so we'll get to that. So on Friday in the Dudley Eve final, Devonshire Cougars went down 3-2 to Somerset. We all took Devonshire Cougars, and again, we want to say congratulations to the Somerset Trojans on being crowned the Dudley Eve champions. Then in the FA Cup, we had Wolves defeat Southampton Rangers. We all took Wolves. And then St. David's and Devonshire Colts. Myself, Punchy, Maceo, we took Colts. Coach, you already said it. That's it?
That's it. 9-9. I don't care if I don't be on any more points with them. It's over.
And the last match today, it was BAA going down 2-1 to Paget. We all took Paget. Last night, Tough Dogs defeated Somerset Eagles 5-1. Everyone, with the exception of Punchy, took Eagles, so an extra point for Punchy. And then, of course, Footy Kings defeated Young Men's Social Club 3-2. Myself and Punchy took Social Club. Maceo and Keita took Footy Kings. So at the end of the day, I finished with 3. Punchy finished with 4. Maceo finished with 4. Coach Keita finished with 3. And now the overall standings, myself and Punchy are on 36. Coach Keita is on 34. And Maceo is on 33. Now comes the time. This week, Thursday, at the BAA field, it is Boulevard Blazers hosting the North Village Rams. Punchy.
Wow.
I'm taking Village.
There, she says you asked for it.
I'll take it.
I'm gonna give you an explanation about that. This is going to be a very difficult game. A very difficult game. It ain't Boulevard come because you remember a lot of players. Some of the players come to us. They go back when they feel like they can't make the team. But this is a rivalry. They're gonna play the butts off Boulevard, but I'm still giving Village the edge on this one, just by our organization and our mindset. I'm going to North Village on this one.
Okay, I'm going to take North Village as well. I think right now they're firing all cylinders and getting it just right in the league structure. So I'm going to take North Village as well. Coach Keita, you're up for this one because Saturday at the Wellington Oval, St. George's Colts host PHC.
St. George's.
Okay.
I ain't giving no explanations no more because it don't make sense. I'm just picking.
I think St. George's right now at home play tough, so I'm going to take St. George's for this one to edge PHC. I'll even say 2-1. Punchy?
I'm going to go to St. George's for now. I think that just that with Jonte quality, I just think St. George's are up for this one. I'm going for George to win this one.
Okay. All right, Marco. We still have faith in you, just not this weekend.
No.
I'm pretty sure he'll have something to say.
Yeah.
But it's all good. It's all good. Then on Sunday, Hamilton Parish hosts the Devonshire Cougars at the Wellington Oval. I think after that loss on Friday, Devonshire Cougars will turn this around and get back on track in the league. So I'm going to take Devonshire Cougars. Punchy?
Cougars to win this one. I still think they've got firepower. I think they'll go down to Hamilton Parish. This going to be one. I think I can even almost call that score like a 3-1. But I'm taking Cougars to do this, to bounce back.
Okay. Coach? Can you hear me? I think she's frozen. It's frozen. She'll let us know when she's back.
Yeah.
All right. This one, Punchy, you can go first. Somerset Trojans are at home to the Dandytown Hornets.
Wow. Hey, you know what I'm going with? I'm not even going for draw this one. It ain't gonna be a automatic turnaround here. With that victory, I'm going with Somerset Trojans Somerset Trojans to win this game. Yeah.
Interestingly enough, I mean, if you look at the Hill setup, so you have Scott Morton, who once coached Dandytown.
Yeah.
Going up against his former club. You have now Aaron Dankins, who would now have some time with the team to figure out, or even the whole squad figuring out where things were going wrong, addressing them. But I think you're right in this regard. I think you have to give the edge to Somerset. Hopefully the party is over from celebrating the Dudley Eve win, and they get back to business. So I'm going to take the Somerset Trojans as well to defeat the Dandytown Hornets. Then, of course, we haven't had any updates. So Crossroads against Robin Hood. I'm going to go with Crossroads only because they've been able to field a team despite their losses. They've been able to field a team and have one or two substitutes as well. So I'm going to take Crossroads.
I'm going to take Crossroads throughout. Even if Robin Hood show up with a full team, I don't think they're going to win this game. Morale is very low there. I'm going with Crossroads on this for sure.
All right. So, interesting matchup on Saturday in the first division. You have the winless Somerset Eagles traveling to Southampton Oval to face Southampton Rangers, who also find themselves in a slump. So, Punchy, who you take?
I'm taking Rangers. I've been calling no draws. They ain't gonna be no draw games. So I think Rangers gonna win this game. Okay. Yeah, some of the Eagles I just still got my head. They got my head on with that. I just can't figure out what's going on up there. But again, Rangers seem like the bet for me.
Right. I'm torn because we don't know who's actually transferring to even in be included in the Southampton Rangers team, let alone the Somerset Eagles team. But on current form in the league, you have to give the edge to Southampton Rangers only because Somerset Eagles haven't shown anyone that they're a threat thus far. I mean, they lost 1-0 to Devonshire Colts last week, but other than that, I don't think they've lost by a single goal. Any other game, they've always lost by multiple goals. So with that, I'm going to take Southampton Rangers for this match. And then it is Paget Lions on Sunday against Devonshire Colts at the Southampton Oval. I'm going to take Paget. I'm going to take Paget.
Oh. You know, Earl, that's a very, very good. That's very good. This is what we're talking about coaching and about teams. What I saw today with Paget, they're still raw. They're still very raw. With talent, they're still raw. But on a given day, I'm gonna give them the nod over Paget. Over Devonshire Colts. I'm gonna go with Paget on this one too.
Okay. All right. Now, interesting matchup. Motocross on Sunday. Island Rangers take on Wolves. Punchy?
And this game is where?
At Somerset Cricket Club.
Wolves, as long as Mr. Tucker's playing, even if he's not playing, just the one to. I tell you about that Wolves, that Wolves fraternity. That I'm telling you, these couple of wins are going to keep inspiring them. They're going to go up to Island up to Somerset and beat Island Rangers. Yes, they will. I'm going with Wolves on this.
Okay, I think you're right. Wolves right now have that killer instinct. With or without Troy Tucker, hopefully he can play some more games this season. I know this coming weekend will be a challenge, but hopefully he can get over and get to play, and Wolves keep enjoying some success. Final first division game, it is St. David's hosting BAA. And for this, I'm actually going to take BAA to continue St. David's rough run. Although they did win last week, like we said. But I think BAA have enough quality, even in the youngsters, to get over the finish line for this one.
Yeah.
So I take
Yeah.
BAA.
I'm gonna go with you, Earl, on this one. I just think that what I saw today with BA, the organization, like I said, with St. David's, ball one off. I don't think that Andrew's going to take that team down there and what he wants to accomplish. So I'm truly know that BA is going to win this game at St. David's.
Sure. Hey, Punchy, after Coach Keita made that comment about not picking St. Davis no more, all of a sudden she's going on. St. Davis.
Yeah.
St. Davis.
We're not talking about cricket here, you know. We're not talking about cricket.
The phone call was made to your husband. Cut that internet off. Get her off.
It's a football season. I know. But it's before we go, I'd like to add to the program the under 15 game before the first game of doing.
Yes.
Very good. The following, Somerset and Norfolk, it was good. We see quite a bit of talent. What I was also appreciative of the coaching and the behavior of the players. The enthusiasm. What I saw. So, I keep saying that when you look at what's going on in the junior program, the coaching, the coaches that have the badges, what are they showing us, and there was really a good game. So, again, my hands up and applauding both teams for what we witnessed before the final, the senior final.
Right.
And a lot of people weren't answered because Norfolk were up, but that game could have changed on a dime. And just witnessing young talent.
Right.
Again, and the night before, on the Thursday night, I think up at the police.
Friday night. The Thursday night. Yeah, the Thursday night. Yes.
Yeah, the other team. A big crowd.
Yes.
The enthusiasm and the quality and the coaching and how the game is constructed at that level.
Right.
So, very good. Again, I applaud what's going on at our junior program. I'm hoping that it continues. And I just want to hit hands up. Kudos to all the people, the families that came to watch the young ones play. Yes, and it's so important. It's so important that we encourage these young men. And I think that my personal opinion, I think it's got to be more exposure that people read about these young men, because on Saturday when I picked the paper up, they had pictures of both the losers and the winners in Standish Royal Gazette, and I was very glad to hear it. And so it's very important that we do this and promote the sport, because we are up against it with other sports. Right. What would come up. So again, kudos to all the coaches and junior that are doing such good work at the junior level, and the parents. I applaud the parents for the sacrifices and just coming on and showing really good support for these youngsters. Yeah.
Sure. We're gonna get into the player of the week for last week. We had Coach Keita and I, we were going back and forth, and Coach Keita has selected Justin Bell from North Phillips, scoring a hat trick last week against Crossroads. I had the same pick. Punchy, any
I had to, his I always say that this young man, not a young man, is 28. I always, I speak to him quite often about, his exploits in terms of what he can do. I say, but you got to score more goals, man. Got quite a bit of talent, as a wide player, because I play it wide. So he's always asking me questions. Did I do what? Did I do? But I'm glad to see him in his now the AM product, knowing what he does in the 18-yard box. And I think, he did deserve this. He did.
Now we do want to what Coach Keita and I was discussing. In the association, they already have rules and regulations regarding the Robin Hood issue. And as you can see, in the event of a membership organization not completing 75% of its fixtures for the season, all points obtained by or recorded against such defaulting clubs shall be expunged from the league table. Then where a membership organization has completed 75% of its fixtures, the points for any games against the defaulting membership organization shall be recorded as final, and all remaining fixtures shall be defaulted by the membership organization with the points and the score of 3-0 awarded to the opposing team. So we already have the outcome. It's already in their legislation, current legislation. You know, some clubs will not be happy because we clearly know they haven't even completed 50% of their fixtures, and if they do default, clearly the E will take over. And
Yes.
It's just a matter of the association figuring out what they do with the goal scorers.
Yes, that's right.
Of those matches, what happens to their goal scoring? Do they stay with those numbers, or are those numbers actually erased?
Erased, yeah. Very interesting. When this, I can't wait to see what comes.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Brother Punch, I want to say to you, have a good evening. Folks, we'll be back next week, Sunday, with another edition of the Islandstead Football Show. Do enjoy your evening.